2nd, 2011. Would you please stand for a silent reflection and salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Enright?
Here.
Mr. Brennan?
Here.
Ms. Cynthia?
Here.
Mr. Diver?
Here.
Ms. King?
Here.
Mr. Mechanico?
Here.
Mr. Warback?
Here.
This meeting is being held pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, NJSA 10:4-6. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Co-Star and the Asbury Park Press, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and on the borough's website, and filed with the borough clerk. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, which has only one item on it, please?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Diver?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanico?
Yes.
Mr. Warback?
Yes.
This is a public hearing for NJSA 48:1491, dissolution of the Springwood Heights Fire District Number 1. And this public hearing is continued from the April 25th, 2011 meeting. John, do you want to begin?
Yeah, I got a couple. I thank everybody for all this information this weekend. It was light reading, and I only found a couple of questions I had after going through it. You so are the accountants. So you familiar with the audit?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you look on page 21 with me?
Which year?
Mr. Lane, could you
Yeah.
just get, this gentleman, can you just
Oh,
say his name?
Your name, you're spelling your name, please.
Oliver Walling, W-A-L-L-I-N-G, CPA with Kerner Galati Oriel.
Thank you.
Page 21, the 2009. We don't have the 10 yet. I'm on the audit, not yet. 2010 apparently is imminent.
Page
21. Okay. This fiduciary funds here.
John, hold on one second, just so we can follow along. Page 21, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it says length of service award program, that's LoSAP, correct?
Correct.
Now, I went through LoSAP today. There's a voucher here, and this is, I'll show you that voucher. It's for about $30,000, and it seems to be payable to one of the designated LoSAP depositories, of which there are 4 in the state. Is this 124, this account, where that $30,000 goes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, so when I look at these bank deposits for the 3 Wachovia accounts, none of that is LoSAP.
Correct.
Okay. Now, on the audit, we're going to go to page. Yeah, page 20. Oh no, 15. It's 15. It's 15. Liabilities. Yeah, same here. Due to LoSAP, $152,000. What does that mean?
Well, first of all, the due to LoSAP is a misnomer. It's really a LoSAP reserve.
Okay, now that 152, is that in the Wachovia account?
No. Oh, what's Wachovia?
Well, there are 3 Wachovia accounts.
Operating checking?
We have non-profit checking.
Non-interest bearing.
Well, they call it non-profit checking. We have commercial money market deposit account, and we have another commercial money market account with a different account number.
One's got about 85,000, the other has about 250.
263.
263.
All district accounts, correct?
Well, I believe, based upon what I've been provided here, these are all of the district accounts. I didn't have any documentation regarding the
I think the
low SAP
misconception is
account.
that they don't belong to anybody.
No, it says Board of Fire Commissioners, Board of Fire Commissioners, Board of Fire Commissioners.
Yes, the 152 is in there.
Is in the 263.
It's not physically segregated.
I don't know if it's not segregated, but it's in there.
It's in there somewhere.
Okay. Now, question, and I just kind of did an end-to-end and didn't go line by line. We have balances here from 1/1 of all three accounts. They were 84,700, 257,695, and 4,200. And at the end of the year, they're 85,865.63, 24,212, and the third one is 263,720. Wasn't that good at math, but my quick math total there is $371,000, and that's year to year. So all of their expenses during the year have been paid,
Except the payables,
which the payables, which they know here was
20,000.
$20,000. So if it's almost $350,000 in the bank, and $20,000 is payables, and 152 is this nebulous amorphous due to LoSAP, there's $200,000 in your surplus.
78,000 is reserved for capital projects.
Okay, okay, I understand that, but
Okay.
when I asked people that the other day about reserve for capital projects, nobody seemed to have the answer to what does reserve for capital projects mean? What capital projects are we reserving for, since the fire commissioners don't own anything besides the trucks?
Future purchases or future payment of debt.
Well, but their annual payments on both trucks which are here, which are, one has one left and one has quite a few left, they're in the they're in the full budget, the full payments for this year are in their full budget already.
Yes.
So why do they have a whole nother set in surplus?
In case the budget was defeated and the council removed that year's payment.
Well, what would lead you to believe that we would remove a payment and send the fire district into default?
That's why we have the surplus, the reserve.
Okay, so we started with 360, we took 152 out, we took 20 out, we're down to 190.
Just do it to 152, when you say low SAP reserve, what is that for precisely? Is that as against a known liability that we're gonna?
No, it's a reserve to be used either for future LoSAP purchases, payments, or to be returned to general surplus.
Okay, but low SAP, as I understand it, is being funded on an annual basis through the budget.
Correct.
So that 152 is in excess of what the ongoing annual liabilities are for the low SAP.
Our current known obligations. So it's surplus. Well, you're calling it a different term, but it's surplus again.
It's not usable surplus without resolution.
But you
But-
think it could be returned as a surplus?
How did it get to
In other words,
Stop, John, John ask questions, please, right now.
Only one time, so just so I fully understand this, the 152 isn't segregated,
Physically correct.
and you don't have an exact reason why you're holding back 152, you're just holding it in case later on LoSAP will cost more money than you think.
No, it's to be used for future, it can be used to offset future LoSAP appropriations.
All money could be used for something else, it could have been used for tax reduction, but we didn't pick that option. I looked at the budget this year, you took $50,000 for tax reduction, when you had over $200,000 that I could see was available for tax reduction, if that's what you chose. Am I right?
Yes?
Okay. Now, the other thing is, the budget this year cited $42,000 for LoSAP for this current year to be paid, okay? But this is only $30,246. Why did the commissioners, if you know, I know, why did they anticipate a $12,000 increase in a $30,000 bill? Are there that many more volunteers that's 12 maximized LoSAP contributors at the maximum $1,150. That's 12 new people coming in and maxing out. Was there any reason why we raised the $12,000?
At the beginning of the year, when the budget is prepared, there's no way of knowing how many qualified firefighters will be at the end of the year.
But don't you use the prior year's experience?
Not necessarily.
So do you know why? I'll go back to it. Why did you pick $42,000 when your experience in 2009 here was 36 member volunteers qualified for $30,000?
I I believe the rationale was the new annual amount times the total possible firefighters.
Just go on a limb here. Is putting this extra $12,000 in here how we got to $152,000 in the due to LoSAP surplus?
Part of it is, yes.
Okay, so in maximizing your taxation, raising the most possible money, you've accumulated a surplus that is almost 100% of your annual budget.
100%.
I had $363,000. Your annual budget is,
total.
yeah, it's like 371, but let's go 401, almost 100% of your annual budget. Do you know of any other governmental entity that operates on a, I'll go kind, 90% surplus with holdback, 90% holdback?
Not familiar now.
Could I ask a question about these, John, I don't mean
No,
to
you-
interrupt, but I just
jump
want to
back.
get some follow-ups on this, so that I understand. You said that the due to LoSAP, while it's not segregated within the account, is not usable except by way of resolution by the board, obviously, right?
Right.
Did it get that designation due to LoSAP by a resolution of the board?
It's, I believe, either administrative code or state statute.
Okay, so in the writing of the budget, it was placed into that designation? I mean, how does it get into how does it show up as a liability on your audit? Is there an action taken by the board, either by way of crafting of the budget and placing a certain amount into that line item, or?
Well, the way it works is like, if we budget 42,000 and it comes in at 32,000, then the 10,000 would fall down to the reserve. The 32,000 would be up as payable. Now, this auditor felt that the whole, now there isn't an exact science to wording. This auditor felt that it was a payable. We have a new auditor this year. This auditor feels that it should be a reserve. And in the 2010 audit, it will be shown as a reserve.
And you're saying it would take a simple action of the board to, by way of resolution, to transfer that due to LoSAP to general,
A resolution, yes.
just
Correct.
to general fund?
Resolution.
Okay.
Should be yes,
On-
the board.
Could I, before we go any further, can I just ask that to tell the public what LoSAP is? I'm not sure everybody understands what that is.
It's a length of service award program. It was instituted, it was passed by the voters in the town, in the borough of Spring Lake Heights approximately 5 or 6, 7 years ago. It's funded by way of a liability on behalf of the fire district. It's an incentive award to firefighters, volunteer firefighters, giving them a very modest pension sort of benefit due to their length of service. They have a tremendous level of criteria that they need to qualify for to be able to achieve that. And it's a credit to our town that we have 30 men who are awarded LoSAP on an annual basis. Is that pretty much correct? All right.
Thanks, John.
Okay, one other question, looking at this,
But that doesn't excuse the fact that you guys are putting 152,000 into a reserve that can be, by way of resolution, put into a general fund, back into the general fund. Now,
Who administers that money?
The LoSAP
There's
invested
trustees.
or this money?
No, the LoSAP money. Who
well,
actually,
there's two different, that's why it's look great, look,
Yeah.
there's a company, the state authorizes 4 people to manage these funds.
I think.
They're variable annuity life insurance, Lincoln National Life Insurance, Standard Security Life Insurance in New York, and Volunteer Firemen's Insurance Services. They're designated, they're published by the DCA, and they have the $124,000, and that's the sure LoSAP money that's off to the side. The answer is that the commissioners have this in a undesignated surplus
I
status.
understand that, but I just wondered who actually administers the money.
That's why the 152 they do, the 24 the insurance company does, but looking at 30,000 a year and 124 in our account, is it possible LoSAP only started in 2005?
2003.
Nine?
I think it's 2003.
So-
The vote was 2003.
So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 years, we put in $124,000. Then we paid 30 the one year, which is good to see, no more conservation. We budgeted 42. The budget,
You're just making polemical.
they put 150 in reserve.
Can I ask a question about this reserve?
2009 is not reflected in the 124.
Well, this payment I'm talking about here is 2000, this payment was made in 2010.
Right.
And you're saying it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's not in the 124.
Well, that's even worse. So in 5 years, we put our average of 25,000 a year in for 5 years. We're gonna go to 154 when we put in the 6th year. So the 6-year average was still only $25,000, and yet you budgeted $42,000 with an average annual payment of $25,000. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
but there is a potential that more firefighters can qualify.
But,
And that's what you have to budget for, because you can't transfer money into LoSAP.
But if you had,
well, but if a firefighter comes in, we know how to qualify, as I understand, those that get that 5 years. Correct?
Yes.
So I'm assuming we know who has 4. They can't just magically go from 0 to 5 years in 1 year.
well, they could transfer from departments though, right?
They get paid from year one.
We have to make contribution year 1, I understand that, but nobody vests till the 5th year.
Technically, they don't vest because if they, well, it's an annuity. We buy them an annuity at the end of age 65, I think it is.
There's various points that this would be.
Yeah, they said volunteer in an emergency service organization is eligible to participate in a LoSAP immediately upon becoming an active volunteer member to the emergency service organization, or be eligible to receive benefits. It also permits a volunteer to vest after 5 years. These DCA's got great time on LoSAP. I know all kinds of stuff today quickly.
I think the point's been made, John.
Yep.
Yeah, let's move on.
Can I ask about this, the $78,000 of the surplus monies that are in the account? You say that $78,000 reserved for capital projects to set through the future purchases of capital assets or for payment of debt. Is that designation, $78,000, is that by way of resolution of the board? Is that by way of budgeting process?
Budgeting.
So in other words, that's a capital account that's, you're prudently setting aside for purposes of future purchases?
Correct.
Okay.
And typically, it used to be if.
By the way, you're doing better on that score than this council is doing, I can say that.
If you wanted to use this money in the past, you could do a resolution and move it over to general. Starting with the 2011 budget, they are not permitting us, DCA, are not permitting us to cancel capital money to move to general to be used for surplus.
Why is that?
Their interpretation. I've been told there's going to be new standards, new statements, whatever you want to call them, for the 2012 budget. If you budgeted like $550,000 for a truck, and it came in at $540,000, the board could cancel that $10,000 and move it over, because the purpose was done. It was, the voters said yes, $550 for the truck came in at $540, 10 goes back to general. This is not identified with the project, so right now it's locked down until we see what DCA is going to let us do with it. We could be stuck with it in there until we have a capital project.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Correct.
In fact, I would say that it's a pretty good thing. Well, let me ask you this, getting just back to the numbers from the bank accounts. So the $78,000 I understand, the $152 was due to the LoSAP. And that's accumulated over the course of time by way of, I don't want to use the, by way of budget overestimations on the budget.
Overestimations and non-cancellation.
And non-cancellation. The balance of the monies that are in those two accounts. So one account is denominated truck. It's got about $85,000 on it. That's how it came to, the ledger came to us here. Do you know what that's affiliated with?
With Walter. You know what that accounts for? 85,000?
The two trucks,
That's where the 78 is?
yes, the two trucks that we put on the side the money for.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense.
Is that interest bearing?
Yeah.
It's in the money market.
It is interesting.
So that makes sense. So that 85,000, that 78,000 that you're saying 78,000, but that's close to 85, so that makes sense. So let's set aside that account for a second. you still have a separate account with a balance of
263.
263, of which 152 is this due to LoSAP money.
Right.
What's the rest of the money? Where did it come from and what's it for?
Well, 20,000 is for payables.
Right.
103,000 is unrestricted.
Is that unrestricted capital?
This is
No.
Unrestricted.
Just unrestricted general?
This is actually the next question. On page 15, getting to the bottom.
And
Your
then
full liabilities are here, including all payments on the trucks that are due, the LoSAP 152, and it shows the group with a net worth of $454,756, of which only $80,000 is in capital, is that right?
Yes. Well, 272,000 is fixed assets.
It's fixed assets, so that's what the trucks are worth over what they're owed.
Not what they're worth, but depreciated book value.
Okay. So there's still there's 103,000 plus the 152.
Yes.
That was in 2009. Mr. Walling, do you have any idea what that figure would be for 2010,
Which figure?
the unrestricted?
I believe we used,
So the budget said you had 78 and you used 50. You actually had 103. So,
well, the 70s, I mean, the budget's prepared before the audit's completed.
I understand.
Okay, so if there's a difference, I mean, the 103 is correct, because that's the audit number.
Well, the 103, but it's a 103 plus 152. You're showing the 152, you're showing the 152 as a liability that we can't quite get our hands around the 152, what it actually is. It's a number picked by the auditor, is some representation of future unknown, uncertain LoSAP contributions. So the only way you really get $78,000 in surplus is to drop it $25,000 and forget about the 152.
The 152 is not in the beginning balance because it's not unrestricted.
Well, the only reason it's not unrestricted is the creation of your auditor to have this reserve of money that you say can go to general surplus. You could have put it anywhere, but you put it in a due to LoSAP account, and at least when you fashion the budget and set the tax rate, you wrote the budget as though you don't have the 152, but you do have the 152. You have the 152 plus the 30 plus the 78 that you admitted to plus the 78,000 in capital reserves.
152 wasn't available because the board had not canceled it.
But I do understand that, but tomorrow, could they put $1 million in that account and not cancel it?
If they budgeted for it and the voters approved it, yes.
So they could have the maximum tax increase every year from now till forever, put an infinite amount of money in the due to LoSAP account, and the taxpayers would just keep paying taxes for monies that they may never actually owe. Instead of applying it to surplus, you would agree with me, applying surplus would lower the tax rate, right?
Yes.
So they opted instead to create this reserve, this surplus.
They didn't create it, they didn't cancel it.
They designated, or they're designated because it's prior uncanceled, right? But it's because instead of $42,000 for LoSAP, LoSAP's $30,000.
The actual.
The actual. So if you do that for quite a few years, and you couldn't even do it at $12,000 a year in 5 years. Something else was happening. Some of the $60,000 has to predate LoSAP, because the overfunding of LoSAP wouldn't get you to $152,000, would it?
No.
Also, the account that's termed the truck account for 84,000, it's not, there's never been a check. Well, I guess there was one for maybe $600, but for the most part, that's just an interest-bearing account. In 2008, you put around $30,000 into that account. But in the amount raised for taxation, there's enough in that budget every year to pay for the trucks. So what exactly is the $84,000 truck account for?
Safety net.
What?
It was a safety net. There was some concern that lease purchases would not be covered by the debt service rules. And that if the budget was defeated, and for whatever reason, that item was cut out, there would be a payment available. The cash would be available to make the truck payment.
Do you know when that was created? Do you know what year?
The first year that the first truck was ordered.
Do you know what calendar year that was? Because the
2000.
reason why I'll explain the reason why I asked. The reason why I asked is because we got the ledger, check ledger without account for the past 3 years, 2008, 2009, 2010. And in 2008, it was, in 2008, it was approximately $50,000 in that truck account. And then there was an addition, apparently by way of real estate tax, denominated real estate taxes, which is how the denomination for deposits into the money market, the other money market account as well. So it looks as though tax dollars went into that truck account in December of 2008. But I'm wondering when it was initially created, because all we have is from 2008.
Well, the first truck was bought in 2000, the second truck was bought in 2008. I think, the first truck, I mean, the two trucks that are on these accounts, the one that predated that. 2003 was which truck? The second truck? First truck?
The second truck was budgeted in 2008, $73,500.
So about half of that was added by way of a deposit into that account. Okay. So the first, but that account, but that was deposited into the account, which was created prior to 2008 and had a balance in November 2008 of about $50,000.
From the first truck.
From the first truck. Do you know when the $50,000 was first placed into that account? And if you don't, that's fair. It's a fair answer.
It would be, what, the 2003 budget? When did we deposit? When did we budget for the first truck deposit?
'01,
The 47,000.
'01, I believe.
And would have been 50,000.
It's an
It was
02 vehicle.
47.
It's an 02 vehicle, so maybe either one or two. I can't remember.
Oh, actually, I can tell you that.
Excuse me, Mayor? I just have a question that, you're saying that that account was for trucks. Yet when I go back to 12/31/09, 12/31/08, and then 12/31/10, the balance is really never changed, it's just collecting interest.
Well, they've explained that.
Yeah, he said.
But again, it seems to me we have another reserve account.
It is a reserve account.
It's a capital reserve.
Specified though.
At least it's, that's.
But
To answer your question,
Go ahead.
I have the answer.
Okay.
The date of the lease was August 23, 2001, and the monthly payment was the annual payment was $43,012.
Okay, now, that,
And then the second lease was $64,122, which started in July 1st, 2009.
okay. Could you just expound a little bit on, you said that the purpose was safety net lease purchases, because you were unsure whether or not they were gonna pass muster under the debt service rules. Could you just expound a little bit more on that? I mean, I know that the trucks were purchased by way of lease purchases, which, by the way, I think is a very sound and prudent way to go about purchasing a truck if you're a fire commission. I don't know that it would be a smart way to go about doing it if it was a council purchase, but I think the council has broader powers for purchasing than a fire commission, obviously. But what was your concern? Why did you think that it would run afoul of the debt service?
And when you issue a bond, the statute is very clear that the debt service is protected if the budget fails, that, you know, the council cannot touch, you know, bona fide debt service. The board was uncertain. They weren't 100% sure that a lease purchase fell into that category.
Okay. And did you make a clarification at any point in time?
I'm a CPA, I tried.
and you were unable to make it. Did you
I
make
try
an
not to
inquiry
break this law.
Did you make an inquiry to the DCA, or did you ask one of the attorneys to make an inquiry to the DCA to find out the answer to that question?
It was our attorney's interpretation.
That it was prudent to put the money aside?
Yes.
Okay.